A lot of people, when they see the airbag light go on in their car, they take their car straight to the mechanic because they're afraid if they start working on it themselves, they're going to trigger the airbag and it's going to blow up in their face. But what if I told you that there's a way you could safely work on your airbag system and potentially save hundreds or thousands of dollars that you'd be spending taking a car to a mechanic? Now, when I went and bought this car, the owner did tell me that the airbag light occasionally comes on. He said that he took it to a shop and they told him it was probably some wiring under the seat, no big deal. A couple days after buying it, of course, the airbag light came on for me as well. Now, if I take this to a shop and pay for some overpriced parts and labor, I may go upside down on this flip. So I needed a DIY fix. So today I'm going to show you how I quickly and easily figured out what the problem was and how you can too, and then we're going to fix it. Now, traditionally, you needed a really expensive commercial grade scanner to read those systems. Fortunately, scanners have come a long way, and you can get a model that will read those airbag systems that's actually really affordable. We got sent this scanner by Top Don. It's kind of a no-name scanner company. They're not sponsoring us, but figured it'd be a good chance to try it out. And for the price, it's pretty full-featured, but there are some other budget options out there. You just want to make sure, whatever you're buying, that it scans the airbag systems. All right, so now that we're booted up, we're going to go into Diagnostics, Hyundai, automatic transmission, automatically detect a VIN number, which is pretty sweet. Confirm that. Area manufacturer, auto scan, just see what it does. Engine's good, transaxle's good, ABS good, airbag, fault. So we have a fault in the airbag. We're going to select that. Airbag event number 1, read DTCs. So here we can see we have a code 1B1346, which is the driver airbag resistance is too high. I can get a little more detail on that. Gives you some generic info on that trouble code, which is kind of cool. Tells you what it does. And then down at the bottom, it gives you possible causes. Could be the poor connection of a connected part, poor connection between the shorting bar and release pin, faulty driver airbag, faulty clock spring, or faulty airbag control module. What's cool about this is I have my trouble code, and now I can take this online and I can do some research on this specific code and see if it can help me narrow it down. So what I was able to find out was a test you can do looking at the live data stream of the scanner. So while the car is on, I can look at the resistance levels of the driver's side airbag while I'm turning the wheel, and you can see the resistance changes dramatically and even puts up a little failed message under that row. Here I could even chart this information. So I select the passenger airbag and the driver's airbag, and I go to my graphs. You can see there's 2 lines, and when I turn the wheel, the driver's airbag spikes and immediately fails. Those 2 values should be quite similar, but the resistance on the driver's side is much higher than it should be, and it's moving all over the place. Shouldn't be moving like that. Based on what's happening when the steering wheel is turned, I can determine that it's the clock spring that is the problem. Now, while this is a really common airbag issue, there's tons of information online that will help you troubleshoot your specific code. If you follow the channel, you know that we are trying to flip this Hyundai Accent for profit. And if you're interested in how I got it for almost half off, or how I transformed the upholstery, which was super bad, like really gross, you're gonna wanna check out those videos on our channel. Now, I called the dealer to ask them how much they would charge to replace this clock spring. And they wanted $650 for this car to do the job. They wanted $450 just for the part. So I went online, got myself a new clock spring for $40, and that's not even the cheapest one. I just didn't want to go super cheap. And I'm gonna do the job myself. Basically, it's right here, and I need to remove the steering wheel to get to it. Oh, that reminds me, you should disconnect the battery first. So I've got some Allen keys that I've got to get out, one on each side. Hey, if you're enjoying watching me turn this screwdriver around and around and around, you should subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot more where this came from. All right, there's the airbag. Okay, here's the airbag everyone's so scared of. Just gonna put this off on a safe place where no one's gonna connect power to it. All right, now we just have to remove the steering wheel, which is a big nut here, 21 millimeter on this car. Okay, so before we go any further and pull the steering wheel off, we just wanna make sure we mark it so that everything's lined up and goes back on the same way. Because a clock spring basically allows wiring to pass through the steering column without getting tangled when you turn the wheel. It needs to go back in exactly a certain way. I'm gonna disconnect this grounding wire. Usually you can pop them side to side, get them to come loose. On some cars, you may need a steering wheel puller, which is a rental tool you can get. And steering wheel is free. Looks like I need to pull this trim piece down in order to get the clock spring out. And you can see it spins. I want to be real careful that I keep it in the same orientation at 12 o'clock. Okay, 2 plastic clips on the bottom and there's one on the top. Another push tab. So we have our old clock spring and the new one ready to go in. You just want to compare them, make sure that they're all the same. And then we're going to start putting the new one in. As you can see, it comes with a retaining clip that's temporary, but it holds this piece from spinning, which is really important. Setting our clips. Stuff the airbag wires through the gap in the top. Now I'm going to remove the retaining clip. Just making sure this stays at 12, and then I'm going to reconnect my ground wire. Get my wheel in position, line up the marks that I made. Okay, nut goes back on. If you're not confident in your torque specs with your arm, you can check the torque specs in a manual, but you want that to be nice and snug for obvious reasons. Okay. All right, I can put the airbag plugs back in, and airbag can go back into its slot. Reconnecting the battery. So I did something right. The airbag light is no longer there, so that is a really good sign. But let's plug in the scanner and see what the values are. So I'm going to do an auto scan of all the systems. Normal, normal, normal. Here comes airbags, normal. So we're going to go back into our data stream, current data, and we're going to go down to that resistance. Passenger and driver are similar, 2.2 and 2.8, much closer. All right, just for fun again, I'm going to select the driver airbag resistance and chart it. There you see the line. And now I'm going to turn the steering wheel left and right like I did before, and there's no fluctuation this time. So that's how it's supposed to behave. So I would say that this top-down scanner does great for everything I wanted it to do as far as live data, servicing airbag systems. Even on some vehicles, I could activate, things like door locks or solenoids if I wanted to test them. One of the things I didn't love about it, and a lot of scanners do this, is where you can't actually use them the first time until you get access to Wi-Fi, you register, make an account, all this stuff. So just be aware of that. If you're out on the side of the road, you don't want it to be your first time or you're not gonna be able to use it. Now, I just started using this scanner, so I can't speak to its long-term reliability, but for the price, it's a capable little machine. So if you're interested, we're gonna put the link to this scanner as well as some more budget options that also scan airbag systems in the description. So I just did this job for the cost of the part. If you can get your hands on a scan tool, getting rid of your airbag light can definitely be a DIY fix. If you like this video, you're definitely gonna wanna check out another one we made on something else that makes people really nervous: car batteries, and the top mistakes people make when they're replacing them.